Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei saved Raynare and got massive harem part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Farcast for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Nothing. Issei could only feel nothing ever since the day his parents died by a serial murderer in his town when he was 6 years old. He could be angry or thinking how to avenge his parents he loves very much killed in front of him, but he somehow fought back and killed the serial murderer, ending the streak with Issei's parents as his last victims. Ever since that, he has robbed all the emotion he actually had, simply gone or destroyed beyond repair. He didn't even cry during the funeral and cremation because he already died inside, but never once did he think of following them. None of his relatives wanted to accept him because of his dirtied hands and emotionless behavior, but one, his youngest aunt from his mother's side, Shiiki Hisako, 22, fresh graduated from college, accepted him to live with her, with hope that she could help his nephew regain the feelings and cheerfulness he once had. So Issei came to live with his aunt in Kuo. But even for years, his symptom doesn't get better at all, making his aunt totally at loss. She knew Issei is a good child, despite that he was expressionless. He does the chores around the apartment they live in, making sure that her aunt feels comfortable when arriving home. But his aunt was sad that Issei never once smiled or talked innocently like the olden days. 10 years later, Issei is already 16 years old and attending Kuo Academy, a girl high school that recently became co-ed and accepting male students because the school was the nearest from her aunt's apartment. Despite that, the majority of the applicants are still girls. Issei's physique could be categorized good. He is tall, around 173 centimeters, he has light brown colored hair and eyes, his body is quite toned as he always spending his time either studying or training, because he wanted to at least able to protect her aunt, who kindly gave him a home. At school, he never speak unless it was needed for him to open his mouth, he just do simple greeting for pleasantry purpose, and dazed outside of the window for most of his time in the class, irritating the teachers because he ignored them, but letting it go as he always solved the problem they gave to him and decided to ignore him too. He naturally ignored his classmates too, and because of that, he doesn't have any friends. But the girls started calling him the silent and aloof prince. Many girls admired him, and the boys hated him for hogging the girls, but he couldn't care less as he cannot feel anything about it. On the day that his aunt will come home late, Issei usually gazes at the sunset anywhere he can see it and returns home when it is already dark. It was his routine ever since he moved to this town. Issei was doing his routine at the top of the bridge while a girl with a different uniform walked to him and stopped a few meters away. Oh no. The girl tried to call him, but it didn't register in his brain as he watched the sunset. Being ignored, the girl with long black hair and purple eyes became angry and unintentionally released pheromone, which registered well, rather than sound to Issei. He finally turned toward the girl who immediately fixed her angry face to smile. "Sorry, I don't know you are there, no one ever disturbed me before." He responded in a flat tone. The girl instantly became angry, but she could maintain her facial expression, but the same pheromone was released earlier, and Issei knew it and her smell telling him that she isn't human, and same goes with some people in the school, but they had different smells from her. "Are you by chance Haidu Issei-kun?" "Yes. I saw you here sometimes seeing at the sunset, and I think I took a liking to you," the girl confessed with shy expression. But Issei knew she's lying as she didn't release sweet pheromones like few girls among the ones who confessed to him. "No, I have never dated someone before and I won't date you because you will be sad later." The girl became curious rather than angry. This is the first time she was rejected with the reason that she will be sad. The girl's real self is a sexy fallen angel who is usually given a mission to seduce sacred gear users to join the fallen angel faction or eliminate them if they are too troublesome. She would do the same pattern, date them to know what kind of personality they have and decide what she will do about them. The time she was rejected by her target was not few in number, but none of them rejected her with the reason that she will be sad later. "Why?" she muttered, that was the only appropriate word she could muster. "Because I'm incapable of loving you and making you happy, so you should choose a better guy," Issei answered with an honest response. The fallen angel was surprised to hear his answer. She's wondering what kind of past this boy had and make her want to know more about this boy personally instead of fulfilling her mission, though her mission allowed her to know more about the brunette. "Then how about if we start as friends?" Yuma asked if she was desperate to make a connection with Issei. He could smell the desperation from her, so he decided to play along with it. "Sure, if you are able to put up with my personality and you know me, but I don't know you," he answered with a flat tone. "I'm Amano Yuma, call me Yuma, nice to meet you Issei-kun." Yuma happily introduced her human name. Issei knew she was lying again, but shrugged it off as he'd need a name to identify her. "Likewise," he replied short. Issei returned his sight to the sunset and Yuma moved closer to him and turned to watch the sunset beside Issei. Why do you like watching the sunset, Issei-kun? No real reason. Two of them only watched the sunset in silence until the sunset. It was the first time that someone watched the sunset together with him, even if the one accompanying him had an ulterior motive. A single thought entered Issei's mind, maybe this man beside him could help him to regain his feelings, and he's willing to make a bet on it. The sun already set, it would be dangerous if you go home alone, Amano-san. Then escort me home. She demanded while smiling. Issei nodded as it was already his intention from the beginning, even though he knew that the girl in front of him isn't human and possibly doesn't have a residence here, it was just courtesy he showed to her. Thank you for accompanying me home, Issei-kun, just this far is enough, my dad will be angry if he knew I brought a boy home. Yuma lied, she had no father or mother left in this world, she was abandoned in this world alone, until the leader of Grigori, Azazel, found her and brought her to Grigori. Issei knew it was a lie, but decided to not pay it a mind, alright. See you tomorrow, Issei-kun. She waved to Issei before she ran toward the direction of the residence. Issei turned his body toward his home. Are you sure about this, partner? A voice with a worried tone suddenly asked inside his head. It was his companion ever since the day his parents died, a dragon that lives inside his sacred gear that awoke by his will to live and rage when the young brunette was dying from a stab to his heart. He offered the young Issei to become a dragon and he accepted it right away, but something happened because he forced the process on the dying child. The price young Issei paid was not just his humanity but also his feelings, something that allowed him to embrace what was left of his humanity. Though Dragon was a prideful being, but he is certainly an apologetic one, he cannot stand that he robbed the child's feelings. He knew that the Issei tried to regain what is lost, but trying to use an uncertain individual to regain it is worrying him because he cannot bear that his host is even more broken. Don't worry, Drag. I'll be fine. Issei replied in his mind as he walked toward his home. Sacred gear items with power that only exist in imagination, God created so humans could defend themselves from the supernatural threat. Among them, there are 13 items that could potentially kill God himself. One of them is called boosted gear, sacred gear that could double someone's strength almost endlessly. Inside the boosted gear lives a soul of a dragon named Drag, the heavenly dragon of dominance. A long time ago, Drag and his rival, the heavenly dragon of innocence, Albion, fought to see who was stronger between them before finally battling near 3 factions' battlefields. The 3 factions made a truce to eliminate these 2 dragons before restarting their war again. God, the leader of the angels, pulled their soul out of their body and put them into the creation he made, the sacred gear. The young Issei, the host of boosted gear, almost died after the serial killer stabbed him in his heart. He never fell into despair when he was already in front of the death door, instead, he was filled with a will to live, and that awoke Drake from his slumber. Seeing his host already in critical condition, he offered the young Issei the chance to live with the price of his humanity and become a dragon. Without hesitation, the child accepted it right away, he offered his heart to the dragon. But something else happened, not only humanity he had to pay, but also his emotions. His emotions continuously crumbled, but he was still able to maintain one emotion before it finally crumbled. Rage. Soon after young Issei became a dragon, he pulled the knife from his heart and clad himself in red armor. The serial killer was freaked out and tried to run away, but failed as Issei quickly thrust the knife into the serial killer's heart. After that, he felt nothing, not even when he saw the body of his parents, simply nothing. He couldn't cry anymore because he already felt nothing about them. He called the police with no emotion because that was the most logical action that came to his mind. Issei was declared innocent as it is an act of self-defense and because he is still underage. Because of this, Issei's nose became much more sensitive. With his nose he could distinguish what someone thinks by the pheromones they released, and of course, he could distinguish between human and not human. Drake explained to him the basic knowledge of the supernatural world. After the funeral and cremation, his relatives discussed about how they will deal about Issei. They all almost agree to send him to rehabilitation center, but Hisako, youngest of his mother's siblings, declared that she will take Issei in because she thought it would be better if Issei healed normally, living among children his age. And just as an adult they thought it was too troublesome to take him in, considering that Issei capable of killing someone and without a care as he now is emotionless, and pushed it all to Hisako. He of course quickly branded as a gloomy kid when he first moved and bullied, but he paid no mind and care, making the bullies crept out and stopped by themselves. Then he met with Shido Irina, a tomboyish energetic girl, who lives right beside the apartment where Issei lives. Irina always asked Issei to join her game, and he silently followed her, rather than a friend. Most of the people saw them as master and her butler. Hisako was happy when Issei would play with Irina, but when the shadows had to move to England, she was the one who was crying. And arriving at the present, Issei hasn't changed at all, still emotionless. The morning after he made new friend, Yuma is waiting for him in front his apartment. It's something odd, normally Issei won't care about it, but now he concerned a little about if she did something to his aunt. He expand his sensor, but find nothing weird around his apartment. They exchange simple greetings before they walk together. Asako left little later than Issei after she locked the door. She accidentally saw Issei walking together with a girl with a different school uniform. She scowled when she saw that. She thought that Issei finally hit a girl, but didn't hear about it, though her mood quickly changed to happy, as now she found the interrogation topic for later. During their walk together, Issei could feel that they are being followed. Ever since he entered second years, he was constantly being followed by 4 people from 2 different groups, as they never came closer together when spying on him together. He knew their identity, mostly because of their smells passing each other in the hallway in the school. They were Taoju Kaneko from class 1 to 2, Yudo Kiba from class 2 to 3, they were grouped in group 1, as they rarely played together following him. Kusaka Rya from class 2 to 4 and Nomura Aruko from class 1 to 4, were grouped in group 2. Kusaka Rya and Nomura Aruko were the student council officers in his school. In fact, everyone from the student council has the same smell. Drake explained that they are devils, while the one beside him is a fallen angel. Drake told him that they probably had the same objective. The sacred gear, and he always warned Issei to be careful. On their way walking together to school, Yuma was forced to initiate the topic as Issei just kept silent, and even that Issei just answered as he needed, making her a little displeased. She was very curious about his past, but being pushy might make him uncomfortable and fail her mission altogether. On the way, some Kuo students saw them walking together. They were surprised to see Issei walking together with someone from another school. "That's Issei-sama." One of his fangirls screamed. "Who's the bitch beside him?" Another fangirl shouted and without a doubt entered Yuma's ear. Yuma's lips and brows twitched dangerously, but she maintained his smile in front of Issei, but Issei knew she's very angry at being called a bitch. "I normal fag." Yuma giggled when she heard about the boys. "You are popular, Issei-kun," she said. "I thought a girl would be angry if someone called her a bitch," Issei said flatly. Yuma laughed at his words, making more glares toward her and Issei. "You're too blunt. You know that they are just jealous because they think I'm your girlfriend. Honestly, I don't care much since I can't feel anything, but from everyone who confessed to me, only you want to stay as my friend, Amano-san," Issei said. "Why can't you feel anything, Issei-kun?" She asked if she was very curious about it because this is the first time she had a target that was emotionless. Issei looked up toward the sky and snorted, "It's already a distant past," he said, leaving Yuma a bit displeased that the brunette didn't answer it. "This is where we part ways, Issei-kun, later want to meet here after school?" Yuma asked as they arrived at the junction where their paths split. "Sure," Issei answered short. "See you later, Issei-kun." Yuma waved at him as she walked away. After seeing Yuma left, Issei moves his body toward school. They attended the class as usual without much disturbance except the pervert duo's tantrum, but he just ignored them as usual. After school, before he left, a tall girl with blue hair came to him. "Excuse me, hi do Issei-kun," the girl said. "Yes?" he asked. He raised his head to face the one who called him, and he recognized her as Yura Tsubasa, Kuo Academy Student Council General Affairs. "Can you spare some time to the student council office?" she asked. He knew none of the student council members as human, the girl in front of him also not an exception. The class, which was still bustling with his classmates, became crowded as the student council officer came to pick Issei up. He didn't want to go honestly, being called to their den, but he doesn't want them to be in trouble later on, so he decided to accept the invitation. "Okay," he answered as he put the last book from his desk drawer to his bag. He then followed the student council general affairs to the student council office. She knocked on the door 3 times before she opened it. "Aichu, I brought him here." "Thank you, Tsubasa." Issei entered the room. He glanced toward 2 specific individuals there, the ones who constantly followed him, before turned toward the student council president who already sits across the empty sofa. She is Shitori Sauna, an intellect-type looking individual with a cool demeanor. Her hair is black-colored, styled in bob cut, and pink glasses ornamented her beautiful face, as if protecting her glinting amethyst-colored eyes. Her real identity is Sona Citri, the sole heiress of the Citri family of devils, after her sister took the Leviathan name. "Please sit here, Haidu-kun." She instructed her to point at the empty sofa in front of her. Issei did as she instructed. "At least there's no hostile smell inside the room yet." "Tea?" she asked as she raised the teapot prepared on top of the table. "No thanks." Issei answered. He doesn't want to be poisoned or anything while inside unknown territory like this. The student council president put the teapot back on the table, unconsciously releasing a sad smell from her, something that Issei cannot understand. "So, what do you call me here for, Shitori Kaichu? I believe I didn't do anything weird this past week?" Issei asked. He knew he did nothing wrong, unlike his classmates that called the pervert duo that caught bringing porn to school on almost every inspection. Lately outside of the school, you came into contact with a girl from another school, right? Not lately, but yesterday. Issei corrected her. Stay away from her. She would only bring trouble to you. Sana said bluntly. Issei understands why she wanted him to stay away from his friend, the fallen angel, and devil relationship is not very good. But he did not care in the slightest about it. Is she your acquaintance? She's not. Then I won't follow your advice, she's a friend. Issei replied to her, and before Sana could say anything else, he stood up from the sofa. Looks like there's no more talk can be done, thank you for your advice I suppose, excuse me. He walks toward the exit, while Sana searches for a way to stop him from leaving, but she cannot find any. When he reaches the door, she shouts. You will be killed by her. Issei stopped at his track. The other student council officers were surprised hearing Sana shouted. She never raised her voice except she was angry, but today she did it out of desperation, to stop a boy no less. Thank you for your concern, Shitori Kaichu. If she can take it, I will gladly give it to her. Death in a friend's hand might not be so bad. Issei said without looking back but loud enough for everyone to hear. The student council president was really sad when she heard that he could throw his life away so easily. Do you not value your own life? She asked, her voice was low, but with Issei's enhanced hearing he could hear it. I don't have something called life anymore. So don't waste your energy worrying about a zombie. Issei answered her question. Zombies? Sana muttered, she was ready to cry anytime, she cannot imagine what happened to the once cheerful boy in the past to become like that. Just with a difference, I'm still an omnivore, excuse me. He left for real this time. What should we do about Kaichu? He could be very dangerous. The vice student council, Shinra Tsubaki asked. She deduced earlier that Issei was serious about calling the fallen angel in disguise his friend. Sana cannot answer directly, she takes a deep breath to calm herself and sorts her feelings before she answers. His condition is very abnormal, I think we should stop watching him any longer. He glanced specifically at Ria and Raruko earlier, as if saying he knew that they followed him. Sona answered. They widened their eyes in surprise, especially Ria and Raruko who made sure that he didn't know but got caught nonetheless. Most likely he already awakened his sacred gear and was stronger than we thought. Sana deducts, she is sure that he will be fine, his emotionless confidence as if she can take it, saying that the fallen angel is weaker than him and he already knows everything about her and them being not human. Then he just plays along with the fallen angel? Ria asked. I don't know his objective by doing that, but as long as he didn't make a ruckus let him. Sona declared, they couldn't believe that Sona let go of a potential danger without surveillance. But Kaichu, what if Tsubaki tried to argue but cut before she could finish it. Let's drop it Tsubaki, we cannot do anything about him right now, I would rather not endanger Ria and Raruko or anyone else by commanding them to follow him. Sona said, none really argued about it anymore, Sona thought about their safety first after all. Sona clapped her hands twice to get everyone's attention, let's return to work everyone. She said. Yes Kaichu. Everyone answered and started moving to do their respective duty, while Sona sunk herself deeper in the sofa, she took out a round pendant with a rectangular aquamarine colored gem on top of it. It is a pendant Sona has been wearing ever since 10 years ago, right after she met with her first love. Zombie, what's really happened to you Ice-kun? Sona muttered as she gripped the pendant close to her dot. Issei-kun. Yuma called as spotted Issei while waving at him. Issei smelled confusion from her struggle from one another in her mind, something that quite common smell for him during the tests. Did I make you wait? Sorry. Issei said he planned to come early, but was distracted by the student council before. No, I just arrived here. She said while keeping a smile in front of him. Shall we go? Issei nodded and walked alongside her. Me, Issei-kun, are you free this Sunday? Yes, I'm free. How about if we hang out? Sure. Yuma smiled and looked happy, but the sad smell came from her becoming stronger. Let's exchange numbers, that way we can decide where to meet. Issei took out his phone and sent his contact details to Yuma's, they bid farewell since they'd gone to the different direction. He arrived at home and was quickly interrogated by his aunt about Yuma. After they hang out, the sun almost sets and they stop by a park to rest on the bench before going home. Thank you for today Issei-kun. I'm glad if you had fun Amano-san. Yeah. But that's a lie right? Yuma was surprised as Issei said that there's no way that she showed it out in front of him earlier, or it was the eyes of the emotionless to spot her anxiety that easily, she thought. We were confused all day today. Issei continued. You're right, I'm confused. Yuma was confused. She had to choose between doing her mission and her feelings. The interest she had in Issei already changed, the time she spent to directly make contact with him changed it, though short, it is enough to change it from curious to care and care to like. You can tell me if you want. I'm sure that you will hate me if I tell you. Yuma laughed while saying that. It is the same as love, Amano-san, I cannot hate you. Issei said in a flat tone. Yuma stopped her laugh and gritted her teeth. Really? Even if I told you that I'm not human? She asked, half angry. Even if I told you that I'm here to kill you? But Issei, without changing his expression, said, yes. The last barrier that holds her tears broken, the tears flow from its dam. Any human would show fear to that kind of threat, yet he didn't phase even one bit. But you right now are confused whether to kill me or not. Yes. Now let's hear your story, maybe an introduction first. Issei said as he offered a handkerchief to Yuma. She took the handkerchief and used it to erase her tears. My real name is Raynare, I'm a fallen angel. She muttered the last part and a pair of black wings sprouted from her back. I was sent here on a mission to observe you at first, but after I got to know you, my boss changed his order to kill you. She said with a hoarse voice, her tears continuing to flow. She doesn't want to be hated by the boy in front of her after showing her true self, the filthy crow. Don't worry about that, I'm not angry or anything, even if I cannot feel it, it is more because I know you from the start that you aren't human, and someone warned me that you will kill me or something. Raynare cannot hide her surprise. She was already caught from the start. You knew? Issei nodded. I guess you will be the first one to tell me about this. Issei said as he raised his right hand. He flexed his hand, and it started changing color to red, became bulkier, and his nails grew into claws, his eyes' color changed from brown to green. He only transforms partially as it is enough to show it to Raynare, because if he changes full form, he will look like a small drake, and it is troublesome if anyone sees him. I'm no longer a human. Issei said flatly. You sacrificed your body to your dragon? Raynare asked, astonished that she found that Issei is no longer a human. Issei cancelled his transformation while Raynare folded her wings in. Issei told her everything about his past. This is the first time he could tell someone without hiding anything, because he never found a person that can be trusted to the truth he buried inside his heart. So that's why Raynare muttered. She now knew why Issei cannot express himself. He almost died, but miraculously awakened Drake and had his body changed into a dragon to survive, but something happened and his emotion was lost in the process. Thank you Issei-kun for sharing your past with me. And thank you for telling the truth about you too, Raynare-san. Her face becomes red, she doesn't deserve any thanks, but maybe because he's emotionless, his words sound sincere to her. She cannot hold herself back anymore, she admits that she has completely fallen to this boy named Haidu Issei. Issei-kun, would you hear my request? What is it? Raynare moved closer to Issei and kissed him. Issei was taken aback, but he just let the fallen angel do it. She removed her lips from his and stared at his empty eyes, before continuing what she just did for the second time for a few minutes. I'm sorry Raynare-san, I can. Before Issei could finish his sentences, Raynare put her index finger in front of Issei's lips that were wet with her saliva. SSTT, you don't need to say that you cannot return my love or anything. I'm fine with one-sided love for now. Raynare confessed. She vowed to herself that she will do anything to fix Issei, but who knows what will happen to her if the higher-ups learn about her failure. Thank you for the great day today Issei-kun, be careful of the devils, you never know what they will do to obtain your sacred gear. Raynare said as she stood up from the bench. She warned Issei to be careful since he lives in their den after all. The devil warned me that you will kill me, though. Issei said. Is her hair red? Raynare asked. Issei shook his head. No, her hair is black. He said. Be careful with the one with red hair. Raynare warned. Ria's Gremory. Issei tried to confirm the identity of the devil he should look out to. Yes, see how bold she is to come to the human world without changing her name. Raynare confirmed. Thanks for your advice, Raynare-san. Issei smiled a little, but he himself didn't notice it. Tears that once stopped flowed once again from Raynare's eyes. She saw him smile a little, he never even bothered to put on a fake smile, but now he is smiling at her. His smile is a sign that he still could recover, that he still had it inside him. That was what Raynare thought when she saw it. Raynare had doubts that Azazel would order assassination of Issei unless someone altered the report or someone else issued the order in his name. She knew that his boss liked to study sacred gears, he would be a fool to miss the chance to study boosted gear. That's why she is determined to contact Azazel directly, and if Azazel really ordered it, she will defect from Grigori to be with the Dragonoid, or at least warn him to be careful if she cannot make it. See you later Issei-kun, I remember that I have to do something else, loving you is the most wonderful thing I ever feel. I will cherish the time we spent together. Raynare bid farewell with a sad tone before she left using a magic circle. Issei could smell sad mixed with happiness and determination. He just hoped the trainer would be okay. Though I would recommend that you see yourself in the mirror right now, I'm worried about that fallen angel, Issei. Drake's voice suddenly popped inside his head. What do you mean Drake? Issei asked as he heard Drake worried about the fallen angel. That girl was determined to risk her life for you. Drake replied. Somewhere within Kuo City. Angered that she doesn't get called by the flyer at designated time, she slammed her fist on the table. Useless. Those dirty crows can't do their job properly. Someone with red hair shouted in anger. Apparently her plan to get Issei after he was killed by a fallen angel ended in failure. Maybe tonight is not your luck, Riaz. Someone who sat in front of the woman identified as Riaz said before sipping her tea. She appeared calm and neutral, but the truth is that she was very disgusted with what her friend did. To gain the boosted gear, she planned to make it appear that she saved him from death. It is a good way to earn quick loyalty, but it doesn't go well with her. Usually, she doesn't care, but this one, Issei was the target. Riaz sneered toward the comment her friend said. You must be happy now that you had the chance to obtain him too, Sona. Riaz said, full of poison in her tone. She thought that her friend was happy that she failed, so the black-haired king could hug Issei for herself. Not far from the truth, but she's wrong about it. Sona is happy not because she had an opportunity to obtain Issei, but he avoided being enslaved by Riaz, only to be used and thrown away when he doesn't have value anymore in her eyes. Sona knew each person in Riaz peerage's history. Imijima Akeno, Ria's queen, half-fallen angel whom she found after the half's mother was slaughtered by her own family. Aoju Kaneko, cat Yaokai who lived with her sister. Her sister's battle prowess was noticed by a high-class devil and reincarnated her as devil. But she was abandoned by her sister who now became an SS-class criminal after she killed her own king. Gibayudo, a survivor of the Excalibur project, ran away from the facility he was in because he was executed and almost dead before Riaz found him. And the last, Gaspar Vladi, Damper whom she found almost dead running away from his assailants. Sona found it quite weird. Does such coincidence exist? The answer was no. Demon Lord Surzich Lucifer, formerly Surzich Gremory, pulled strings to manipulate them so her sister could get the strong members out there. All for his sister so she could have enough power to oppose her fiancé, Razor Phoenix in raiding games so she can dissolve her engagement. And now Riaz targeted Issei, the host of Boosted Gear. A Longinus class sacred gear that can defeat God himself. Who doesn't want to embrace such power? Even Sona would be lying if she doesn't want that, moreover that Issei is her first love. Sona herself only met Issei once, simply because there's no other chance given so they could meet, but she betrayed her feelings to Issei and finally found him again. She asked Ria and Raruko to follow him under the pretext that he had sacred gear, but the truth was she wanted to protect him from Riaz and any other threat. A few days ago, Sona was happy and sad, happy that Issei with his confidence could protect himself from any threat which he proved just now, but sad because Issei didn't remember her, given that she could recognize him at the first glance. Well, he could be a good addition to my peerage, but he's not on my priority list since I had long abandoned my engagement. Sona countered. She also had the same problem with Riaz, but she'd able to step outside of it with her own strength. Her fiancé was proud devil, but he was kind to Sona despite their strength difference. His appearance cannot be called bad, handsome even, but Sona chose to break it anyway. She did it all while gripping the promise she made with Issei. Promise that is still very dear to her even now. You only did it last year. Riaz retorted. So? How important I'm doing it first? Riaz couldn't deny it because it already happened, her face red from anger, but even if she wanted to attack Sona right now, it wouldn't bring any improvement to her situation. She should rethink her plan to obtain Issei before Sona does. Thank you for the tea Akeno, it is delicious as always. Thank you for your compliment Kaichu. Akeno said with a smile. I had something to do if you excuse me Riaz. Sona said before disappearing by the magic circle. Sona, that bitch. Just you see I will get that boosted gear for myself. The next day. Raynare was not there to wait for him anymore. Issei was worried because of what Drake said to him last night. He couldn't do anything if Raynare was not contacting him, and he focused on knowing more about the red-haired devil Riaz Gremory. Issei knows nothing about her at all, except she's a devil, and Raynare warns him to be careful of her. But for that, he only had a choice to go to Shitori Sauna. In other words, he needs to go to their den once again, but something inside Issei said that he can trust Sauna. That was the first time he had a gut like that ever since he lost everything. He arrived at school while the boy said that he was already dumped by Raynare. Well, nothing between them from the start, so Issei just ignored them as always. Issei sat on his desk and hoped that day would end quickly. Around the same time, somewhere under the church. The woman got thrown into the cell with her body full of bruises and cuts in almost every part of her body. She was tortured all night long because she failed to do her work. Two of her friends couldn't do anything because they were lost in numbers, but now that the men were already gone, they gave treatment to the tortured girl. One of them is tall, and her body is curvy and has two melons hanging around her area, while the other looks like elementary kids with a gothic Lolita dress and blonde hair. The taller one called Raynare while the shorter one called Middled. Why don't you just do your job, Raynare? The taller woman asked. If I did that, I wouldn't be here. Raynare answered weakly as she stood the pain. It made both of them curious why she wouldn't be here if she did that. What do you mean? Middled asked while healing Raynare's wound. He's stronger than me, not to mention Azazel-sama never issued the order to kill him, it would be very weird if he really did. Raynare explained. Now that you mention it, Azazel-sama likes sacred gear more than women. Middled agreed with her. Azazel, the leader of fallen angels, is famous as a womanizer, but he could easily put them aside when sacred gear was involved. How do you know that, Raynare? Raynare asked to clarify Raynare's statement. I contacted him yesterday before Issei captured me. Raynare answered. If I cannot make it alive, could you protect Issei-kun in my stead? He's suffering without him ever realizing it. Raynare asked. The truth is she is already at her limit, but she doesn't want to bother Issei, and she doesn't know how strong Issei is. Given that he was transformed into a dragon, he must be stronger, but she doesn't know how much stronger. Why did you dedicate yourself to the human you just met, Raynare? You love him, don't you? Middle teased. A red hue appeared on Raynare's cheeks, making Middle giggled, and Raynare sighed. Maybe you two better get out before they start to be suspicious of you too. Raynare answered. I will contact Azazel-sama to send reinforcement, don't you dare to die, Raynare. Seeing her best friends finally leave her alone, she took the chance to sleep before her torturers decided to do it to her again, as right now she only can endure. The last period bell finally rang and marked the day to end. Issei immediately stuffed his books into his bag and left the classroom immediately with destination to the student council office, the den of devils. Late even 1 second he would receive guests before he could make way to his destination. The one titled the Handsome Prince, asked by the Grimoire to escort Issei. She planned to recruit Issei directly, but alas, he was too late as Issei already gone from his class. Issei knocked on the door after he arrived at the front of the office. The girl opened it. She was the youngest of all, the only one who was still a first year. She tied her hair in ponytail style and always wore a pair of striped knee socks. She was terrified that Issei suddenly dropped by again. Hello Haidu senpai, is there anything you need with student council? She nervously asked because she started with blank eyes. Is Shitori Kaichu in? I need to ask a few questions. Baruko, let him in. Yes, Kaichu. Excuse me. Issei entered the room. The wary smell is very obvious in there, given everyone released the same pheromone, because there's a good chance that he joined the fallen angel. He sat in front of Sona again. So, what brings you here, Haidu-kun? Sona asked. Amano-sen said I should be careful of devils in this school, especially the red-haired devil named Ria's Grimoire. I want to know more about her, given that you and everyone here is also a devil. Instantly the room mood became menace, the devils except their king releasing a hostile smell. Issei raised his alertness a little because there's a chance that he will be attacked. Calm down everyone. Sona with a calm demeanor calming her peerage that agitated earlier. So, Haidu-kun, you already know that we are devils, from whom you learn it, from the fallen angel you went on a date with yesterday or your dragon? Sona asked after she thought that her peerage already calmed enough. My dragon and yesterday we just hung out, not on a date since she's not my girlfriend. Issei immediately answered. The fact that Issei bluntly denied that Raynare was not his girlfriend made Sona a bit happy. Then you already knew that I'm the devil since the entrance ceremony? Yes. So what do you want to ask? Sona asked. Issei took out a piece of paper from his bag. It was summoning a flyer he got when he waited for Yuma to arrive. This flyer is a reek of Grimoire demonic energy, what does she want with me? He asked. That is summoning a flyer, we distribute it so we can easily make a contract with humans, but in your case, if you almost died yesterday and it will synchronize with your feeling that you don't want to die and summon her, so she can reincarnate you as her servant. Sona explained truthfully. I see, so this had no use to me. Issei ripped it into shreds without hesitation and threw it to the trash. The student council officers were dumbfounded when Issei did that, even Sona couldn't help to open her eyes a little wider. Can I ask something, though it might be a little rude? What is it? What's the reason that you didn't do the same as Grimoire? Is boosted gear worthless to you? Issei asked. It was a harsh accusation, but he wanted to know how deep he can trust Sona. But what he has done has incited hostility from the devils except for Sona, though he smelled anger and sadness from her. Watch your mouth, Haidu-kun. Tsubaki shouted in anger. She doesn't like it when someone who doesn't know anything about her king to accuse something like that. Sona never did something like that, she always negotiated with anyone she wanted to be her peerage member, none was forced to join. No need to be angry, Tsubaki. Sona said to calm her queen. She glanced toward her saying that Tsubaki should just leave it to her. Her peerage members don't understand why she sounded so lenient toward someone this rude. Rather than a forceful method to make them owe you, I'd rather do it through negotiation with them. You might gain short-term loyalty, but what I want is long-term trust with my peerage, Tsubaki, and everyone is angry because none of them was forced to join me, and I don't plan to do it. About boosted gear had no worth to me, it would be a lie if I said yes. Sona explained without lying to him. And Issei knew that she was not lying at all, but the sad smell from her never reduced as she constantly released it. It was something that was still mysterious to Issei, but he was reluctant to ask. I see. I'm sorry if I offend you and everyone here. Issei bowed towards Sona, though his tone sounded that he was not reflecting his action at all. Sona and her peerage astonished that Issei quickly changed. No, rather than offended, I think that you just offered yourself to me. Sona smiled at him. No, I just want to know what kind of person you are, Shitori Kaichu, and whether you are a trustable person for me. Issei said in a flat tone as always, but it is enough to make Sona's heart flutter. She is happy that at least Issei trusts her. You don't like the idea of becoming a devil, Haidu-senpai? Haruko asked. The youngest member of Sona's peerage is harboring feelings toward the humanoid dragon. At first she thought it would be a boring task to follow a senior through his day, which turned to be a boring task. He never went anywhere, except when he do grocery run to supermarket and watching sunset anywhere he can see them, but Haruko was captivated by Issei, who watched the sunset in the west. She hoped that Issei would join, so she had a chance to spend time together with him, not only watching him from afar anymore. Rather than not like, it was more that I don't want to change anymore. Issei answered. Almost everyone thought that he wanted to preserve his humanity, but the black-haired king thought differently. The word anymore changed everything. She's now sure that Issei is no longer a human but a dragon. He gave his body to the dragon inside his sacred gear. If that is so, then I will respect your decline to my offer and will not ask you to be my peerage anymore, but if someday you change your mind in near time, the door to this room is always open for you. Sona said with a smile, but the sad smell became stronger. She was already on the verge of tears because she imagined what kind of incident happened, that Issei sacrificed his body for it and became expressionless like this. Thank you, Shitori Kaichu. Issei answered. I guess I can only give advice to you. Beware of Ria's Gremory, Himejima Ikeno, Kibayudo and Taoju Kaneko. That's all I can help you right now. I think I will heed your advice this time, Kaichu, but is it okay that you leaked about your fellow devils? Issei asked. Like you had your own reason that you don't want to change to the devil, I had my own reason to do that. Sona answered. I see, I have been intruding on her for too long. I will excuse myself now. Issei said as he stood up from the sofa. Wait, Haidu-kun. Sona said as she also stood up. Yes. Sona removed a pendant she always wears and gave it to Issei. She hoped that Issei would remember her someday, because that pendant was the very first gift Issei gave her, but giving it in front of her peerage was a fatal mistake. This is? Issei asked. He swore that he already saw it somewhere. It was not an expensive pendant, in fact, it was a cheap pendant you can get from a shady old man who sells accessories during a festival. My protective charm, may it protect you, Haidu-kun. Sona said with a smile. It was kind of a fond smile when she shows affection to her sister or her peerage. Issei wanted to decline earlier, but after showing that kind of smile and the smell she released, he refrained, moreover that the pendant brought a memory to him, but he still cannot point his finger to what memory. Thank you. Issei said before he left. I see, so that's the reason you wanted to protect Haidu-kun, Kaichu. Tsubaki suddenly said with a smug smile after the young boy left the room. Of course, everyone became curious with Tsubaki's statement. It was a fatal mistake Sona made. She never told about it even to Tsubaki, but Tsubaki knew it from Serafal, Sona's elder sister. The story of Sona's first love that made Serafal almost committed suicide. What is Tsubaki-senpai? Don't tell me Kaichu likes Haidu. They all saw Sona's face that already read out of embarrassment. She cannot deny the fact that she's in love with Issei. That fact was left a stinging pain inside the youngest member of student council. She never knew that a rival would be her king. She wanted to cheers and support Sona, but on the other hand she would be heartbroken if they dating. But she shrugged it off and decided to think about it later, because there's something that she never saw before. Hiya. Kaichu is cute. They chorused after they saw Sona's expression, a fatal mistake indeed to be teased by her peerage. Enough you guys, go back to work. Not only that, most likely Haidu-kun is Kaichu's first love. But the bombshell Tsubaki dropped, Issei's thought that he disturbed their work was in vain. Issei is currently confused. He was given a pendant that a girl just wore. Not because he knew that Sona likes him, but because it was nostalgic to him, a pendant and the smile showed to him earlier. He raked his brain for the memory, but he needs one more push to remember. But his struggle to remember is suddenly disturbed by hostile smells coming toward him. He slipped the pendant he received to his breast pocket. In front of him stood two fallen angels, both men, releasing a disgusting bloodlust smell from them. This is the first time that Issei smells such aroma, and this will be his first real battle. Stop boy. What do you need from me? Yeah, you are to die here. Fallen Angel B shouted as he created a spear of light and tried to stab Issei with it. Issei dodged by jumping backward. Remember the training you did these past years, Issei. Yeah. Die. Fallen Angel A shouted as he charged forward. Seeing the course of the charging Fallen Angel, Issei spun his body and landed his heel straight to Fallen A's temple and slammed him to the ground. Utilizing the other Fallen Angel's surprise, Issei charged forward and gave him a low jab, but the result was quite gruesome. He blew a hole in the stomach. Mo monster Fallen Angel B muttered as his strength and his life vanished from his body. You overdid it, Issei. Sorry. Issei moved to check the one he kicked, but he also died, his skull destroyed along with his brain. I think you should control yourself more, Issei, you will make a huge uproar now. What should I do? Collect their bodies and burn them, at least the number of suspects will increase. Yes. After burning them with the fire spell, Issei went home, not forgetting that he used cleaning magic to remove the bloodstains, or his aunt would go crazy if she saw it on Issei's uniform. Issei realized something from this attack. Raynare must be captured by them, so he couldn't meet her. He sighed, regretting why he didn't think about it earlier. He could interrogate one of them first. He walked home and then remembered that his fridge was almost empty, so he had to buy groceries from the supermarket. Coincidentally, he smelled another Fallen Angel, but he couldn't feel the aura of the Fallen Angel. He knows that this Fallen Angel is far stronger than the ones who attacked him earlier, but he is confused by the smell coming from the crowd of humans who are attending some kind of event. Issei saw a man walking out from the event hall with a trophy in his hand. He had tall stature, black hair with golden bangs and goatee. He immediately directed his gaze toward Issei. He couldn't identify the young boy as a human from his aura, as he already had an aura of the dragon, almost the same aura with the red one that he felt during subjugation of the heavenly dragons. Yo, dragon boy, it is such a coincidence we met here. Azazel grinned as he greeted Issei. What do you want here, leader of Fallen Angel Azazel-sama? The reason I'm here would not be good to be spoken here. How about we had tea in your apartment? Fine, but I will buy what I need first. I'll pay for your groceries if you cook dinner for me. I heard from Raynare that you always cook. Is Raynare safe? I will tell you when we arrive at your apartment. Seeing the change of his mood, Issei just walks toward the supermarket with Azazel following him closely. He wanted to quickly know what really happened to Raynare. Raynare contacted me yesterday, right after she failed to finish you off. I'm not the one ordered for it, for your information. Killing such a good specimen like you would be a waste. Azazel said before Issei could say anything. So what happened to her after she reported to you? According to my other subordinates, she was captured by the team leader and his henchmen and tortured. Azazel answered. Do you know where they are? Issei asked. Sorry, I am still digging about it, and also I found something else. What is it? There's a nun with sacred gear sent here. She will arrive tomorrow apparently. I want you to save them both. Okay, but quickly finish your digging so I could save them. Don't worry, Raynare isn't weak. Azazel assured him. No matter how strong her body is, what if she's raped and had her mind broken too? Issei asked. That was his genuine concern. Even if Raynare is a fallen angel, she also a woman, and something like rape is something he detested. Azazel laughed hearing Issei's statement. Raynare reported to him that he is completely emotionless, but in his eyes, Issei still had the most important emotion left. Care. Issei himself doesn't realize that he has already relearned how to care. He didn't even care when he saw his parents' dead bodies, but living with Hisako made him care, at least care for Hisako. He always thought that it was to return the favor he received. Don't worry about that, Raynare can't be raped. I created a spell that protects the women fallen angel who's still weak from being raped. One wrong move, the rapist would dead in agony, at least his tool would die. Azazel said with a sadistic grin. So Drake, how strong would you assess Issei? He should be around an ancient class dragon. Drake answered. Just one step before Dragon King. Damn it. Azazel said with a sour smile. The white one who affiliated with Grigori hasn't reached that level yet, even though he was trained with the best trainer in cutting-edge technology. Because I had many people teach me. Many people taught you? Azazel curiously asked. The past possessor souls inside boosted gear, he conquered and had them to teach him. Azazel widens her eyes hearing Drake's explanation. The past possessor of boosted gear usually bear strong hatred, especially toward the white one, but to think that they were conquered by this boy. What? He already conquered the past Sekiryutes. Issei tilted his head as he couldn't understand why Azazel was very surprised. Is that really something surprising, Drake? Drake sighed when Issei asked it. Well, it is his fault that he never told Issei directly. You know, you are the first to conquer them, even more surprising that you did it only in half a day. Half a day, the time that Issei needed to stay pure and uncorrupted, making thousands lingering souls inside boosted gear drop their hatred and regain their humanity. Issei once asked Drake how to be strong enough so the tragedy like that won't happen again, at least he could be strong enough to protect his aunt, so he brought Issei to the deep consciousness of the sacred gear. It was a big gamble that Issei whether he gave in to corruption or not, and Drake being crazy to throw a kid in the middle of the typhoon of hatred and rage without any advice. And what he did inside the swirling hatred? Simply nothing, he just stared back at the one who glared at him with an empty gaze that pierced even hatred through. When those hatreds start to die down, Issei only said, "I want to be strong so I can protect myself." Those words erased most of their hatred, especially toward the White One. They decided to help Issei to be what he wanted. They started to teach him martial arts, magic spells, maths, science, anything that useful to him to achieve his goal. He trained inside his deep consciousness, but his body also grew from it. Drake doesn't even know about it, while Issei can attain the techniques his body shouldn't grow stronger. That's the norm, but this is the first time that someone conquered the hatred of the past possessor of boosted gear, so this is also the first time for Drake to face this wonderful cheat. He trained almost every night inside it and as a result, he became truly strong. "You are more extreme than I thought," Issei. "Earlier before I met you, I was intercepted by 2 male fallen angels, sorry that I killed them, they attacked me without much warning. So be it, those fools should learn that they should not underestimate anybody. Ice, I'm home, do we have a guest?" The instant Hisako laid her eyes on Azazel, and vice versa, a sweet smell filled the room. To Issei the scent was almost unbearable, the sweet smell released almost like a bomb dropped in front of him, he unconsciously pinched his nose to stop the smell from entering. Azazel immediately stood up from his chair and moved toward Hisako. "Oh, boy." Drake cooed inside Issei's mind. "Ah, hello ma'am, I'm Azazel, nice to meet you." Azazel introduced himself with a gentleman's gesture. "Nice to meet you too, Azazel-san, I'm Shiki Hisako, Ice's aunt." "Aunt? I totally thought that you were his mother." "You are such a flatterer, Azazel-san." Issei cannot understand how both of them are able to release such a smell just by connecting their gaze, even more after they knew each other's name. But he is secretly relieved that her aunt finally found someone whom she loves, and that person also likes her back, though that person is the fallen angel's last boss. Hisako for the first time was able to avert her focus from her nephew, even though she doesn't know where this man came from, only one thing she knew that this man in front of her is the one. The match from heaven. Azazel is also the same. He cannot suppress his desire to know the woman, he who desires knowledge more than anyone else, for the first time found a woman that was able to make him forget his very own lust that made him fall. They just stared at each other, ignoring anything around them, Issei included. The young dragon who ignored, nonchalantly plating the stew he cooked earlier on the table. Ahem. Issei cleared his throat loudly, disturbing the lovebirds from what they were doing. They panicked as they returned from their own world. "Dinner is ready," Issei said as he finally caught their attention. Thank you Ice, I'll go change first." Hisako immediately runs toward her room. "Azazel-san, is there a way for a fallen angel to reincarnate someone like the devil?" "Unfortunately not yet, why a sudden interest?" "You like my aunt, right?" Azazel groaned at Issei's question, he cannot deny that he's deeply interested in the young dragon's aunt. But he had no slightest hesitation to let her aunt be a fallen angel, so Hisako could be with Azazel, that was something that intrigued Azazel. "Nothing can escape those eyes, huh? Even an idiot could see the way you look at my aunt is that you like her." "Sorry for the wait." During the dinner Issei just observed them, occasionally he brought up the conversation and answered just as needed. Next day after school, Issei quickly left school as one of the devils chased him. He knew that he's targeted by Ria's Gremory, but he had no intention to just accept it. He had more important things to do than meeting with the Gremory. He slowed down after he shook his pursuer off, who easily gave up when being shaken and returned towards school. Issei walked toward his apartment but stopped when a blonde girl tripped over nothing in front of him. She's a human, but Issei smells a faint scent of fallen angel coming from her. "How I can tripped over nothing like this?" Issei decided to approach the girl. "Are you alright?" he asked as he lent the girl a hand to stand up. Hearing someone asked her, she raised her face. She reluctantly accepts the help since it is already offered. "Why yes," she replied. "I'll help you clean up," Issei said as he saw her luggage was scattered around. "I'm sorry that I inconvenienced you when we just met." They collected the scattered items and stuffed it into the briefcase. "No need to be sorry. I'm Asia Argento." She introduced herself. "I'm Haidu Issei." Issei replied. "Thank you for helping me Issei-san, can I ask for directions on where the church is?" Issei knows where the church is, he was once brought there by Irina, his childhood friend who is a Christian, but after she moved to England, the church was abandoned ever since. "There's one, but it's already been abandoned for years," Issei said. Is that so? But I was sent to town, so maybe it is there, Asia insisted. It made Issei suspicious that the fallen angel took the abandoned church as their base. Then the sound of something crashing can be heard, and they turned toward the source. A little boy collapsed near a bike. Asia, who saw it, immediately ran toward the boy, while Issei followed her from behind. Apparently, the boy is alright, but he scraped his knee. Without a second thought, Asia released her sacred gear, Twilight Healing as it is called, and as the name suggested, it used for healing. The scraps quickly closed and healed. The boy thanked Asia before he rode his bike once again, leaving Issei and Asia behind. Seeing what she just did, Issei is sure that the nun Azazel asked him to save Asia. What did Argento-san do? Issei asked. This is the power I received from God. With it I can heal anyone. Asia answered with a complicated expression. She just shows her power, the one which made her condemned by her fellow God's followers. But if you are affiliated with the church, why do you come here alone? Someone with power like you should be a precious asset to the church. Issei asked bluntly, but that made Asia actually release a sad smell. I'm in exile. My power is not limited to humans, it can also be used to heal devils, and people don't like that. Asia answered, her expression turned into sad ones. Just one mistake, she was exiled. Devil? Issei dumbly asked. He already knew the existence of devils, but decided to play dumb about it. I should not say that to a normal human. Asia said in a panicked tone. She almost drowned a boy in the supernatural world, or so she thought. Please forget about it. Asia said as she bowed toward Issei. Though Issei is positively sure that Asia is the one Azazel wanted, but to make sure he is correct, he decides to ask Azazel first. Wait here, Argento-san, I need to make a call first. Asia nodded. He took out his phone and called Azazel, since they already exchanged numbers yesterday. Yo, Issei-kun, miss me? No, I don't miss you. Is the nun you want me to save can heal anyone, even a devil? Issei asked. Yeah, that one. How could you find her so quickly? Just coincidence. Bring her to your house first. I'll go there immediately. I'll be there in 2 hours. Sure. Sorry to make you wait, Argento-san. The truth is I'm here to kidnap you. Brague laughed at Issei's method to bring Asia to his home. Asia was confused that suddenly the brown-haired teen declared to kidnap her. I don't want to use force on you, so please follow me closely. Why? My client wants your sacred gear. Asia trembled as she heard that. The boy who helped her turned out to be no stranger to the supernatural. Moreover, he targeted her sacred gear. I had to use a heavy-handed method. Asia nodded in fear, hoping that he would not hurt her if she disobeyed him. She was brought to the apartment where he lives. It was a normal living quarter. She was instructed to sit in the living room, and Issei gave her the TV remote, which confused her even more. She's already confused that Issei didn't gag and tie her down like kidnappers would do. Now she was treated like a guest. The moment she let her guard down, her stomach started rumbling as she didn't take lunch. Hearing the sound, Issei reheated the stew left over from yesterday and served it to Asia. Issei mostly just stayed silent, but he made sure that Asia was comfortable during her stay, and Asia herself was reluctant to ask anything, even when she spotted a picture of Issei and Hisako. 1 hour and a half later of awkward silence for Asia, Hisako, and the client came at the same time. Ice, I'm home. Way to go, Issei, suddenly bring someone to this beautiful home. Hello, I'm Shiki Hisako, who's your name? Asia Argento. It is a nice name. How do you meet Ice? Hisako asked as she smiled. He helped me then kidnapped me here. Asia innocently replied. Hisako immediately stiffened and turned toward Issei with deadly glare on her eyes. Issei smells a deadly bloodlust that is even nastier than the fallen angels who attacked him yesterday, and in strong disappointment, she really thought that Issei just did a crime. Come here, Ice. Issei moved closer toward his aunt, and with quick bodywork, he was already on the floor. Leaving Azazel and Asia astonished with what just happened. Hisako used to be a tomboy and practiced judo. Her last rank was the black belt before she retired to take care of Issei. Issei just lets her do it, so his aunt isn't suspicious about him. What does she mean by you kidnapping her? I never taught you to be a hoodlum. Hisako asked in a furious voice. Argento-san wanted to go to an abandoned church over the hill, since she looks like a helpless hamster, so I brought her home with the pretext that I kidnapped her. Issei calmly explained. Hisako let out a big sigh and removed her hands from Issei's that she locked earlier. Her bloodlust disappeared completely. Why don't you just tell her that it is dangerous there? She asked. It would be troublesome if she still insists on going there, so yeah, I just did it. Issei answered. Hisako facepalmed herself, seeing her nephew's antics. At least he didn't do it out of malice or something. Sorry, auntie. Issei apologized. Don't worry, Asia-chan, Ice doesn't kidnap you with ulterior motives, he's just an awkward kid and it is dangerous for you to go to an abandoned church there. I heard that a group of punks occupied it. But even if it is for your faith, they shouldn't send a single nun to somewhere dangerous. Yes. Who knows that you are a very strong Hisako-chan, to think that you could ground a man that easily. Now that all is over, Hisako turned to her room to change into casual clothes. Here is the client I told you about, Argento-san. Issei pointed toward Azazel. I'm Azazel, nice to meet you, former holy maiden. Azazel introduced me with a grin. Azazel, the leader of fallen angels. Asia was already terrified, even more, when Azazel nodded, confirming who he was. You should be under the protection of Grigori, why are you here? Someone told me that I should go there. I never give the order to send you here, this is suspicious. Now that Argento-san is already here, it means I could do the other one right. Yeah. Issei entered his room and changed his uniform to casual black clothes, dark brown jeans, and black jumper with red dragon-shaped tribal design on the left dot. I trust that I can leave Argento-san and my aunt for a while to you, Azazel-san. Azazel nodded with a smile. The last report this afternoon is that she's still alive. I hope it didn't change as the clock ticked. Tell Aunt Hisako to leave dinner for 2. Roger, spare them if they are surrendered on first warning. Issei nodded. Where are you going, Issei-san? Saving my friend. Issei said before making his way out. Issei arrived at the church front door. It was wide open, he could smell multiple scents there, but the most concerning to him was the smell of blood mixed with Raynare's scent. He entered the chapel. It was already in ruin, the statues already destroyed, the chairs thrown around, but none blocking the path in the middle. Well, there's a boy who tried his courage here. The man with priest attire jumped down from above. Do you know what place this is, boy? This is an abandoned church, and no good kid would go there. The man warned while laughing sinisterly. I know, and please move from there, you are blocking my path. Issei replied. Sorry boy, now that you see me, how about becoming the target for my new weapon I just received? The stray exorcist pulled the sword that hung at his waist. The sword shape itself is quite unique, but the sacred aura released from it indicated that it is not a normal sword. Be careful, young'un, that is Excalibur rapidity. If the wielder mastered it, your defense would be battered. A past possessor warned him. He was a former exorcist of the Vatican named Feldev Gunther. He was entrusted to wield Excalibur rapidity in the past. Along with the boosted gear, he carved his name as one of the strongest exorcists. He fought the hacker Yuiku and came out victorious, but with fatal injuries which forced him to retire. He truly knew the real terror that the sword can spread because he used to wield it himself, but the opponent was relatively greenhorn using it, but it would be better to be wary of the sword. Issei was being told that Excalibur only wielded by people who were chosen by the sword itself, and if the church allows the Excalibur to be wielded by the chosen person, but this stray exorcist in front of him brought a real Excalibur fragment. It must be a stolen good. This is troublesome, but I guess I should defeat him and give the sword to Azazel-san so he could return it to the church. Wise choice, boy. Issei, who stood in silence as he communicated with the spirit, irked the stray exorcist. Hey. I'm right here, or you want to taste my Excalibur-chan. I'm Fried Zelzen. Consider it a gift to accompany you to hell. Fried charged toward Issei. He slashed using the Excalibur vertically, tried to cut Issei down in a symmetric manner. Issei raised his hand to meet the blade. He hardened his skin with Kai to the max without entering the dragon form. Loud sounds of steel clashing with each other filled the room. The stray exorcist widened his eyes in disbelief, the Excalibur blocked with an arm no less, but not even scratch seen. Why doesn't it even leave a cut? Fried screeched. He couldn't believe that the Excalibur cannot cut through a boy. Maybe you should consider that you have been given a fake weapon. Issei said in a flat tone. Feel offended by the young boy's words, Fried wildly slashing his Excalibur which parried with almost no effort by Issei. Seeing the stray exorcist start to slow down, Issei decided to ask. Are you tired? Then now it's my turn. Issei took a deep breath before charging with inhuman speed, exceeding the speed of the stray exorcist that was enhanced by the Excalibur. He grabbed the stray's hand that held the Excalibur with his left and chopped the shoulder with right hand and cut it off from the base. Blood sprayed around the wound and some stuck on Issei's outfit. Wah. It hurt. It hurt. Of course it's hurt, I chopped your hand off. Issei commented as he threw Fried's hand to the side along with the Excalibur. The stray exorcist pulled his gun and started barraging Issei. Die. This monster. Die. The bullets were blocked by Issei's hard skin. You think when Excalibur cannot hurt me a gun can? Issei asked bluntly. I'm Haidu Issei. I consider it a gift to accompany you to hell. Issei said as in his hand emerged a red-colored ball of energy that was spinning in terrifying speed. Spiral Dragon shot. Issei released the energy ball toward the desperate stray exorcist. It shredded the upper part of his body, ultimately killing Fried. Is it just me or do you secretly like gore, Issei? Drake sighed as he saw the emotionless boy kill his enemy in a cruel manner with any remorse. Sorry Drake, I feel that I had to kill this one without any chance for him to be resurrected, or he could endanger Aunt Hisako. Issei said in his mind. Someone letting out a blood-curdling scream. That voice Raynare-san. Let's hurry. Drake said. Issei immediately sprinted to the underground facility. He ran toward where his nose led him. Issei arrived at the innermost chamber, used as a prison and torturing room. He saw a girl crucified on the cross. From her left eye socket, blood flowing out, her expression shows that she already resigned her fate. In front of her, a man with a blue spear already aimed his spear at her right eye. On the side, he saw two fallen angel women being apprehended by a few men each. They roared toward the fallen angel man to not hurt Raynare anymore. You bastard. Stop. Raynare shouted, but she couldn't do anything to save her friend. No. Stop. Middle screamed as she cried in her helplessness. Beg Raynare, if you beg I might reconsider killing you. The male fallen angel called Donaseek already aimed for Raynare's other eye. Issei felt that Raynare's vital signs had already weakened considerably. It would be dangerous if she lost any more blood from her body. Issei charged inside and grabbed the man's hand before he could stab Raynare. No, you are not hurting her again. Issei said. Who are you? Go away. Donaseek tried to free his hand from Issei, but to no avail, and got thrown toward the door by the brunette. Everyone was surprised that a boy was able to infiltrate their headquarters, even Raynare who was already hanging on a thread. Issei-kun, she weakly muttered. I only told you this once, surrender or else. Issei declared he was told to spare his enemies if they surrender. Don't get too cocky boy. Everyone, attack. Donaseek said as he tried to recover and charged at Issei. The fallen angel men who apprehended the fallen angel women also immediately charged to attack the young dragon. I take it that none of you surrender. Issei said as he created black ball the size of a tennis ball and threw it toward the center of the room. It pulled the fallen angels who charged at him and rounded them up in one spot. It was a gravity ball that would suck anything in a certain range predetermined by Issei for a short time. He casted another spell and slammed his hand toward the floor. Blue flare. Issei muttered, and at the center of the room blue flame bursting from the floor, burning his enemies down to nothing while screaming in agony. Raynare, Raynare and Middle were speechless. They never thought that Issei was that strong, let alone massacred a small group of fallen angels without breaking any sweat. His magic looks wild, but it was calculated perfectly without any additional collateral damage. As magic practitioner Raynare became deeply interested with Issei. The brunette turned toward the crucified fallen angel. Her condition is very. Raynare-san, are you alright? Issei asked, though he knew that Raynare was already dying, but he's trying to take her attention. You are late Issei-kun, Raynare mutters as she loses her consciousness. Her vital signs continue to drop, she could die any moment. Drake warned. Without much word, Issei removed the binding on Raynare and carried her. Issei hoped that Asia could help her, even if that meant he had to leak everything to his aunt. Hey, thank you for saving us. Raynare said. Issei turned toward the fallen angel women whom he spared because they are most likely Raynare's friend, as they really desperate to stop Donaseek from hurting Raynare further. Sorry I don't have much time for chatting. Come to the apartment at Streets room 303, Azazel is waiting there, also could you bring the sword I left above? Leave it to us, please save Raynare. Middle answered. Yes. Issei immediately dashed home, he put the concealing spell on so he wouldn't attract attention. I'm home. Issei said as he entered his apartment. Welko, who is that Ice? Hisako asked as she saw Issei bring a naked girl home, not to mention her body is bloody and full of bruises and cuts. Without answering Hisako, Issei put Raynare down on top of the table. Asia was shocked that her condition is very severe. Argento-san, could you heal her? Issei asked. This is terrible. I will do what I can. Asia said as she immediately used Twilight Healing in full power to heal the fallen angel. Hisako was surprised to see the wound start closing when covered by the green light Asia released. What happened to her earlier, Issei? When I arrived, her eye was stabbed with a spear, her vital sign also continuously dropping. I don't know what to do. Azazel checked her wrist, even with treatment from Asia, the vital sign isn't getting stronger. No good, Asia-chan alone isn't enough, at this rate she would be a goner. Azazel muttered. Is there no other way to save her? Issei asked. Azazel closed his eyes in a somber expression, only two ways I guess. What is it? Find a devil who is willing to reincarnate her or have Drake to change her heart into a dragon just like you. Hisako was very confused, she didn't understand what they just talked about, devil, reincarnation, dragon. Why did a topic like that appear during when they tried to save a girl? Are they turning into an occult? What are you talking about, Ice, Azazel-san? Hisako decided to ask. We will explain after we saved her auntie. Issei answered. She wasn't satisfied with his answer, but seeing how they wanted to save the girl, she decided to believe in them. Issei could try to contact Sona, he knew that she can be trusted, but what if the evil pieces didn't accept the fallen angel? It will be more wasteful of time. No, I'm not risking her to turn her to the devil. Issei said. The risk was not worth it as she could die any moment now. So I guess you only have one choice. Azazel narrowed his eyes toward Raynare. He knew that he was the one who suggested it. It was an abrupt suggestion, however. The past possessors of boosted gear never had any companion that was same goes as his rival. The chance to save her is really low. That is plain reckless. I never change someone other than my host. Drake tried to protest. There's a first time for everything, Drake. I'm counting on you. Issei said as he raised his left hand to his dot. Don't blame me if it fails. Drake said in a resigned tone. He knew his host won't back down from his decision. He knew that Issei would rather fail after trying it rather than agonizing about doing nothing. Boosted gear. After he summoned boosted gear, he placed his hand on top of Raynaud's dot. The gems started shining and an inscription appeared along the boosted gear. Hisako watched the scene before her with doubled confusion. She was totally at loss when Issei's hand appeared a red gauntlet. It appeared out of nowhere. The light started to die down, but the green light changed to red light for a few seconds before it disappeared. Issei exhaled once. He was relieved that it was a success. Way to go, Issei, it is a success. Azazel said as he checked the fallen angel girl's vital sign, which was getting stronger. That is a relief. Asia said as she smiled. Raynare regained her consciousness shortly after. Isakin, she muttered weakly when she saw Issei's figure. I'm sorry, Raynare-san, if only I had come earlier. Issei said. You saved me in the end, so it's alright. She tried to smile. Can I get a glass of water? Raynare asked. Issei nodded and brought her what she wanted. Here. Issei supported her sitting position and helped her to take a sip on her drink. Thank you. Finally, care to explain what happened here? Hisako asked. Today her nephew went somewhere, returning home bringing a naked girl, still okay. But she didn't believe in anything occult or supernatural until this very day, when suddenly a metal glove appeared out of nowhere on Issei's hand, without any trick, just appeared, and green light that Asia released could heal bruises and cuts almost immediately. Alright, first of all. Raynare, who was still in Issei's hand, suddenly convulsed, suddenly blood flowing from her pores. Aya. Raynare screamed as intense pain spread throughout her body, catching everyone off guard. What happened, Azazel-san? Issei asked. I don't know. Azazel shook his head as he didn't understand what happened either, his expression also telling. Most likely is her new heart rejecting her blood. Drake speculated. Issei never experienced such a condition because of his compatible body with boosted gear. It was bathed in a dragon's aura for years before finally he changed to a dragon starting from his heart. Is there anything I can do? Issei asked. Transfuse your blood to her, Issei. While doing it, we should change all her organs to dragons too, but I don't know if it will work. Drake explained. This is the first time he was forced to change anyone else who isn't his host. Issei turned toward Hisako. And Hisako. Do you have a tool for transfusing blood? Issei asked. Hisako works for a hospital equipment distributor. She brought some samples home from time to time. Issei hoped that Hisako had some, but received no answer since she was terrified because the girl started bleeding from every part of her body. Aunt Hisako? Issei snapped at his aunt, who was still in the middle of her trance. What happened? Hisako asked. She still cannot understand what is really happening in front of her eyes. Azazel moved closely to Hisako and tapped her shoulder. Calm down, Hisako-chan. Issei asked you if you have a tool for transfusing blood. Azazel said in a gentle voice. I have some, but what do you want to do with it? Hisako asked. Bring it here first, we will explain. Azazel said in same tone as earlier. Alright. Hisako nodded and pulled a direct blood transfusion tube from her stock cabinet. One side has a bigger needle while the other end is slim, just like a normal needle. Dear Ice, but you don't plan to transfuse your blood to her alone, right? Hisako asked. Normally humans would die if they lost more than 30% of their blood. It was common knowledge for humans. No, only my blood that is most likely accepted. Issei answered. But your blood alone won't be enough to accommodate 2 people, you will die. You too will die. Hisako shouted. Issei is trying to save a life, but it is never worth it if he dies in the process. Issei is reluctant to answer, but it would be dangerous if Hisako stopped him halfway. He knew that Hisako really cared about him, but he thought that this was a mess he made, so he would clean up after himself. It's fine, I'm not a human anymore. Issei answered. There's no regret or disdain in his voice. Hisako couldn't hide her surprise that her nephew suddenly declared that he isn't human. What are you talking about, Ice? Hisako asked. She tried her best to hold her tears back. You of all people should know about Aunt Hisako. Do you forget that you found me with my shirt that had a slit hole resembling a knife stab smeared in blood? Issei asked. Hisako was the one living closest to the hideout, and the very first person Issei called after the police. She tried to shrug it off, she tried to deny any possibility, as long as her young nephew was still alive. But he brought it up now. Don't tell me. Yeah, my heart was stabbed with that knife. That was the moment I stopped being a human. Issei's aunt finally cannot hold her tears back, but she still tries to reason with Issei that he's a human. Lie, that's a lie, right, Ice? Hisako asked. Issei closed his eyes before answering his aunt. Unfortunately, no. He transformed his right arm into a dragon. Seeing the young dragon's arms changed, Hisako slumped down to the floor. She just cried. She couldn't believe that Issei is no longer a human like her, but in the corner of her heart, she wanted to truly believe in Issei. That Issei is still her nephew. Seeing her aunt crying like that, Issei's heart is aching. He made the most important person in his life sad. He just hoped that Hisako would forgive him for deceiving her. But right now, he has more important matters to take care of. He cancelled his transformation and made his hand free of Kai, or the needle would break instead of piercing his skin. After that, he thrust the other end directly at Raynade's heart. He purposely increased his heartbeat rate to pump the blood toward the fallen angel girl. Asia, who recovered from her shock, immediately assisted Issei by cleaning the blood with her towel and tried to heal any injury that appeared from blood bursting out. Azazel just sat beside Hisako. He grabbed her shoulder and pulled her closer to him. He knows that it must be very hard to suddenly shove the fact that your family you cherish turned out to be a monster. He also prepared to be rejected by her, someone who becomes more important to him than sacred gear. Calm down, Hisako-chan, it might be a little hard to believe, but trust me, he's still your nephew. Azazel offered some comfort. Azazel-san muttered as he clenched Azazel's clothes. It was the best comfort she can receive right now. Boost. 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 Issei placed his hand on his hip. Gift. He muttered. Issei transferred the boost toward his marrow so it could maximize the blood production. Transfer. Now let's do it. Yeah. Issei immediately works to change Raynare's whole body. If her heart could receive the transformation, her other parts of her body should be able to. Hisako now is calmer, though it is unbelievable. She wants to try to believe that in this world, there's more than humans know. Who is he talking to, Azazel-san? She asked. She was really curious about the mysterious voice that emerged from nowhere in the conversation. Azazel decided to start from the beginning. God, the biblical faction God, the strongest existence in this realm, loves humans. Human, the weakest existence, but their potential is almost infinite, and for them, he created a powerful item called sacred gear. So Issei had this sacred gear you talking about? Azazel nodded. Yes. Issei's sacred gear is a particularly strong one. It is called boosted gear. Its user could be endlessly stronger, as long as his body could accept it. Asia-chan over there also had sacred gear called Twilight Healing. She could heal anyone regardless of their race. But there's quite a big difference from their sacred gears. Inside Issei's sacred gear, a dragon's soul was trapped inside, while Asia's doesn't have any soul inside it. And that dragon was not just any dragon too. He was called the Heavenly Dragon of Domination because he's very powerful among the dragons. If using military rank, his rank would be the Lieutenant General. He and his rival had a very strong existence that needed angel, fallen angel and devil factions to work together to defeat them. Which one are you, Azazel-san? Hisako decided to ask. She wanted to know more about him. I'm a fallen angel. Azazel answered truthfully. He spread his wings as proof. His 12 wings, his symbol of power. Hisako was surprised that the pervert governor sprung wings out of nowhere, but she understood that he wanted her to believe. I see. She said as she smiled toward Azazel. You seem really easy to accept, Hisako-chan. I decided to put my trust in your words, no matter what use is, he's still my nephew. Azazel smiled at her answer. Not many would act like her, accepting abnormal things like sacred gear, more with someone that already left their humanity behind. Issei is a creative kid despite his appearance. He is able to utilize boosted gear a little out of the way. Azazel tried to change the topic so it wouldn't sadden Hisako any longer. He tried to appeal to Issei. What do you mean? Hisako asked. He amplified his blood regeneration on top that he's a dragon now. He should have made enough blood for Raynare too. Azazel explained. So you knew her after all? Hisako said. She's my subordinate. You might know her as Yuma. Azazel replied. Yuma was someone who was the first to approach Issei to be her friend. I see, so that's why Ice is desperate. Hisako smiled. Issei always cares for his friends, though he can't express it directly now. Issei felt that two people he met earlier came toward this room, without raising his head in concentration from Raynare. Azazel-san, your subordinates are coming here, there's something I left behind earlier and asked them to retrieve it. I hope they found it. He said. Azazel-san nodded as he opened the door and let them in. Excuse us. Raynare and Middleton introduced themselves to Hisako, who followed Azazel near. They were very surprised that Raynare became a bloody mess and the boy transfused his blood for the raven-haired fallen angel. Concerned as they are, they had more concerning matters at hand. This might need immediate concern, Azazel-sama. Raynare said as she handed the Excalibur that freed Selzen used to fight Issei. Azazel examined the sword and indeed that it is a real Excalibur fragment. He received a report that from 6 fragments that church possessed, 3 were stolen, and now one of them is in his hand. Hisako curiously looking at the sword as Azazel examined it. This is a real sword? She asked. Azazel smirked at her question. He was amused that she showed interest in the sword. Not just any sword, Hisako-chan. It was an Excalibur fragment, a legendary sword that shattered during the Great War and was alchemically forged into 7 swords with unique ability, and this is one piece of it. Azazel explained in an easy-to-understand manner, making Raynare and Middleton a bit confused. This sword is not supposed to be here. On top of hand, it was used by a stray exorcist from our faction, though he was already killed by Haidu Issei. Raynare reported. She agreed with Middle to not tell about the condition of the corpses that tried to oppose Issei. It was gruesome, not to mention, he shredded his enemy to bloody pulp. Hisako was shocked when she heard that Issei killed someone. She knew that it could be possible, but she still felt sad about it, and she can't do anything if Issei inevitably killed someone again in the future. But he asked them to surrender first. Middle said after she saw Hisako's expression of sadness. I see. Hisako muttered, it gives little relief that Issei didn't kill someone on whim. Don't worry, Issei is not someone who kills for pleasure. Hisako nodded. Done, there should be no trouble anymore. Issei said as he was finally done with his work. From today on, fallen angel Raynare is no more. Ala-chan, Middle-chan, could you inform Penemu to prepare a prosthetic eye because Raynare will need it. Tell her to prepare I-781 and just leave this sword here, don't tell anyone regarding it. Azazel gave orders to his subordinates. Yes, please excuse us. Raynare and Middle bowed toward Azazel before going inside the magic circle. Issei thanked Asia for helping him to take care of Raynare and clean the mess up with magic. Hisako shocked that the blood was gone in an instant, not even single drop of it left, whether it was on Raynare's body or cloth Asia used to wipe it or the table where Issei operated the fallen angel girl. If possible, she wanted to learn this very convenient magic. But it revealed every speck of the dragon girl's body, which was stark naked since the beginning. Even though Issei didn't show any reaction to it, Hisako was the one who blushed instead. She thought that it is very embarrassing for a girl to be seen naked by a boy. Bring her to your room, Issei, after that we will talk. Hisako said as she blushed. Yes, auntie. Issei answered as he carried Raynare to his room. He felt that her life force steadily increased. Not long after he laid the former fallen angel, his aunt came to his room with clothes and put it on Raynare. They had a quick dinner before they started to talk. After the discussion, history lesson, and reprimand, Issei retired to his room. Asia stayed in Hisako's room, currently used as a hugging pillow by Hisako, since she never got a chance to spend time like this with her nieces, her eldest brother's twin daughters. Heck, they never met even once since she took care of Issei. But Asia didn't mind in the slightest as she wanted some attention. She lived her life alone, because of her holy maiden title. The warm hug Hisako gave her was a new experience for her. Issei just sat on a chair beside the sleeping girl. He silently read a book to pass time. Since he became a dragon, he doesn't need to sleep for a week if only doing normal activity. He sleeps every day because he needs to train. When almost down, Raynare let out a soft grunt, disturbing her sleeping rhythm as a sign that she finally regained her consciousness. She opened her right eye, and her savior's figure could be seen. Good morning, Raynare-san. Issei greeted her as he put the book aside. Good morning, Issei-kun. Raynare returned his greeting. How do you feel? Issei asked. Great, I suppose. Raynare answered, her body felt great, like it was never before. Is that so? I'm really sorry, Raynare-san, I denied you of your birth. Issei bowed as he apologized. He was doing it without her agreement after all. It was selfishness on his part. He couldn't bear that his friend died without him trying anything. Raynare knows that she is no longer a fallen angel, but closer to Issei, a dragon. Raynare put out a sad smile. She was abandoned years ago and lived alone until Azazel found her and brought her to Grigori. I don't even know how their face looks. It's okay, Issei-kun, I'm happier right now that I'm closer to you. Raynare said as she released a happy pheromone. Issei was relieved that Raynare did not suffer emotional loss like him. You can use this for a while. Issei handed her a white eye patch to cover her left eye that was stabbed by a spear. Geez, at least react a little. Raynare pouted as she put on the eye patch. How do I look? Raynare asked as she bruised her hair that covered the left part of her face to behind her ear. You are a beautiful person, Raynare-san. Issei answered. Raynare's beauty definitely exceeded most of the girls in his school with few exceptions. Raynare's face immediately became beet red, she never thought that Issei would praise her. Thank you. Raynare said with a shy tone. Ni Issei-kun, come closer. Issei came closer to Raynare and she pulled him to a hug. I'm still alive right now because of you, therefore I belong to you. Raynare said. She's really grateful that Issei saved her life even when it means that she had to give up her past self. That's why she decided to dedicate her life to Issei. You don't need to go that far, Raynare-san, we are friends. I didn't save you so you will belong to me. Issei tried to deny it, he didn't save her so she would owe him or something. I know, that's why I decided that I will follow you, anything you decide even if you want to destroy the world, I will stay beside you. Raynare declared. Issei could smell a strong determination, he knew that it would be useless to try to stop her any further. Raynare released Issei off and he could see her determined face. Then Raynare-san, if you want to stay with me I have one request for you. Issei said. It made the dragon girl curious. What is it? Raynare asked. If you think something happened that I should express my emotion but I can't, can you express it in my stead? Issei requested. Happy and sad, those were the feelings swirling inside Raynare right now. She was happy that Issei relied on her, but she was sad because it sounded like Issei gave up trying to retain his feelings again. Raynare patted Issei's head and stroked it gently. Well, she's older than Issei and tried to act it up. I promise you that, Issei-kun, but promise me one thing too, never give up on your feelings and emotions, you still have it inside you. Raynare said with a determined tone. Yes. Issei smiles toward Raynare, making her feel warm, hot, boiled, as his smile burns into her memory. She couldn't help but falling deeper into the hole called love for the young dragon. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Farcast for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.